Oh, holy shit. What's up guys? Today I went to the local Indian dealership. They also sell used bikes there, and I rode the Harley Davidson Fourty-Eight. As a little bit of background, I've been riding motorcycles for about 3 years now. I currently ride a 2019 Yamaha Bolt R-SPEC. I've had 2 Yamaha R3s. I've had a Honda Grom, and I've had a CBR 600RR. After my CBR, I'd call it a downgrade, but that's when I got my Yamaha Bolt. I do enjoy the Bolt. I have had 0 issues with the Bolt. I've had the bike for just a little over a year. Haven't had to change the battery, not at all. I mean, I have no issues with this bike. The reason why I'm considering getting a different bike is I've come to find out that I like bikes with larger tanks. I also like larger frame bikes, and the Bolt is more on the Sportster ends, if we're talking Harley. There's just other bigger, more stable bikes that I think I would like to own. But the Harley 48 is one of those bikes that I've thought about owning and keeping in the garage, just as one of those bikes that you have forever. Something fun that you can jump around town and just really have fun on. So what I'm really looking for in my next bike, I'm considering getting the Harley 48, but you're kind of limited on what you can all do on the bike. So what I'm looking for is highway ability. I want to be able to get on the highway and have more than enough power. But I will say I do mostly street riding. I want a bike that's good for 2-up riding. I also want something with more power. I prefer torque over horsepower. I've never been one to go 100 miles an hour, but I do like getting up to speed quickly. I also enjoy high revving bikes. The overall idea is that I want a good performing cruiser that is very versatile and that can do several things very well. Now when I rode the 48, there was a few things that I really disliked about it. For one, I'm trying to upgrade my bike, and when I got on the 48, the frame just seemed smaller. I'm pretty sure it has to be smaller. Also, the vibration on the 48 is pretty bad. It's enough where I can tell in the long run my hands will get very numb from that. I also like bikes that are very high revving, and the 48 just really wasn't cutting it. Now let's talk about what I liked from the Harley 48. I enjoyed their forward controls. I'm about 5'9", and I've rode one other bike. It was the Indian Scout Bobber, or it was the Indian Scout, one of the two, and that bike has forward controls on it, and I absolutely loved it. There's just something about your feet in front of you that I like. Maybe it's my height. I also think it looks pretty cool when your feet are in front of you with forward controls, but I just really like forward controls. Another thing about the 48 that I really loved was the low end torque. I gave this bike some gas and it absolutely flew. I'm pretty sure that bike was way faster than my Bolt on the low end side of things. Another thing that I was really impressed about is when I got on the highway, this bike performed very well. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the tires that are on the 48. It has those very wide tires in the front and the back. I just felt very comfortable on the highway with this bike. I know I mentioned that I did not like that the engine moved and the vibration coming off the engine, but when you're idling with this bike, you can see the engine jump back and forth, and that's probably one of the coolest things. And also, the fact that this bike was smaller also made it pretty fun because you're able to whip this thing all over the place. I'm pretty sure it's a little lighter than my Bolt. It's either a little lighter or the center of gravity is lower, which makes it be able to flick a little more. I also think that we can all agree that the 48 is the best looking Sportster between the 883, the Nightster, the 1200. I'm pretty sure the 48 is the best looking Sportster. When I took this bike up on the highway, I actually put it up in 6th gear. I think I was going about 65, 70 miles an hour. And the bike was actually bogging down. I was pretty surprised. It's like the bike wanted to go faster, and it was almost struggling to be in 6th gear because it wanted to be probably at about 70, 80 miles an hour. Which on my Bolt, there's only 5 gears in the gearbox. So 5th gear and I am screaming down the highway. 70 miles an hour is basically a little bit too fast for that bike. I mean, it's not comfortable in the long run having the bike rev like that, going 70, 80 miles an hour. But I did like that the Harley 48 had that extra gear, and it had a very high top end, which was nice for highway riding. I won't speak much about the seat because I don't really like when people speak about seats on test rides, because of course it's going to feel nice. You're only on the bike for 15, 20 minutes. So I'm not really sure how nice the stock seat is on this bike. There's also an issue on the Bolt where when you let go of the handlebars, the handlebars will actually shake back and forth a little bit. It's almost like a mini speed wobble, and I did test out that on the 48, and that problem is non-existent. It must just be a Yamaha Bolt thing. I do see a lot of people have that same issue, and I think changing out the tire actually fixes it, but you shouldn't have to pay more for something like that out of the factory. So I really need you guys' help. Should I buy the 48? Should I stick with the Bolt? Or the next step up from the 48 is probably a Fat Bob. That's the other bike that I'm pretty interested in. Big shout out to Indian Motorcycles in Wichita, Kansas for allowing me to test ride this bike. You guys have a good day. I'll see you on the next one.